But if you haven't tried it, or if you excluded something like a power cord from your train of thoughts, you have done yourself a disservice.
Welcome to StereoNET. We're here at the Melbourne Hi-Fi and AV show, and I'm fortunate enough to be sitting here next to Bjorn Bengtsson, the product manager for Nordost, who does international sales and R&D. Now, welcome to Australia.
Thank you very much, Mark. I really appreciate that. It's been a while. I haven't been here since COVID, before COVID.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do? You travel to shows often?
Yeah, I absolutely. I do travel the world and go through shows, but I do prefer to have dedicated events rather, because then we have the full focus on Nordost and what we can do, and I can talk for hours about what we do and all the intricate little details about it and so on. So at a shows, it's good to be around. It's good to show your face, but the dedicated events, they do more, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So many of us already know Nordost. We know it as perhaps a cable company, but Nordost does a lot more than just cables, which is very nice. And would you like to just tell us how the company got positioned the way it is today?
Yeah, well, as you said, we started out with cables, and it was quite a few cables at the beginning. I wasn't with the company. This is 30 years ago. The company started, was founded in the US, and hence the name Nordost. It's a bit of a funny story that I like to tell.
Please.
Yeah, if you look at the logo of Nordost, you will see a compass pointing northeasterly, and the word Nordost means the same in all the Scandinavian languages, and German and Dutch, I think, and it means northeast. So that's the meaning of Nordost, and it is a permanent reminder of that it points to where the products are made in the northeast corner of America, in Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. So at the time, Nordost had few products, but very unique. The solid core extruded Teflon concept. I believe we were first in the market to do that in the audio industry, and we have developed from that, but kept the very core through all the products we do from that 30-year ago breakthrough kind of thing. So and during that we have positioned ourselves in various areas, because we have been good at looking into all the different things that are needed, whether it's a digital interconnect, an analog interconnect, a speaker cable, a power cord. They all need very different attention and different solutions and so on. And we have been really good at that, and implementing our core technologies into all of these domains. So I think we have started from a very good point, and then expanded out there and kept our core values.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Very good, yeah. So do you see that there's any particular differentiation between what audiophiles expect and what other people expect from between countries and continents, one place to another?
Not really, in the sense, a good sound is good sound. You know, there's a universal thing there, whether you listen to Chinese pop music or classical music or opera or whatever. Good reproduction, which is basically what we do. The choice of what is good music is on the other end. It's the beholder that defines that. But the good reproduction that we strive to do, and which we think is our mission, seems to be universal for whatever type of music or what you listen to. The main differences to me would be we have different in tastes of how things should look, and I see very, very big differences in how a dedicated audiophile room look. If I'm in the US, if I'm in Europe, whether it's if I'm in Asia, those are big differences. But fortunately, we don't have to change the look of our products in order to fit in.
Yeah. Very good. So, as you said, it's a 30-year-old company, started back in 1992.
Yeah.
Since then, has the philosophy for Nordost changed or taken a different direction at any point?
No, not different direction, I wouldn't say. We have developed, we have spread out, and from the core business with solid core and extruded Teflon, we quite soon came into the usage of mainly air as the insulation. But from there we have sort of developed, that is the main and core technology that we still use in pretty much every single construction. We have expanded and we have added, we have become lately really good with understanding mechanical properties and what the mechanical properties actually do to affect the electrical signal. Mm-hmm. And in our pursuit of maintaining, keeping signal integrity, we think we are getting better and better at really understanding what is going on, and thus preventing noise in the cable industry or in the cable world. I'd say that noise is the enemy, and in all formats, and understanding what causes noise, where noise is derived from. With that, maybe we can prevent noise from happening, because that would be even better than trying to reduce it or take it away. So those understandings, I think we have become much better at and have a great understanding in.
Mm. If I go back to say, for instance, visually, if you can imagine your speaker cables,
yeah,
which have the individual wires and the conductors spread apart like fingers, you could say.
Yeah.
Has there been any differences or changes in that technology over the 30 years?
Not really. It's called a ribbonized technology. Yeah. So, and the biggest reason for that would be that when we're dealing with speaker cables or the signal transfer from an amplifier to a speaker, it's a pretty high current DC. So we would need to have quite a bit of material there, metal. We need to have metal. And since our core philosophy and constructions is solid core tends to be very inflexible above a certain diameter. So then we have to divide it up into many conductors instead of one very heavy conductor in order to maintain flexibility. When you do that, you introduce a lot of other problems. Like you will have quite a bit of inductance introduced, and inductance is playing a big role in the crossover in the speaker. So if we are introducing a lot of inductance, that becomes a problem for what the speaker sees in the other end. So that is why we spread them out in 2 dimensions, because you minimize the amount of induction in 2 dimensions rather than having them in 3 dimensions. So that would be the reason for the ribbonized technology and the flat cables.
Mm. Some of the other benefits for having that sort of layout?
Well, there could be. I mean, it makes the cable much easier to pull under a carpet, or if you got, yeah. So absolutely, that is a side effect. That is a beneficial side effect. It's not constructed because of that. It's purely because of signal and performance that it's made that way.
How it sounds.
Yeah, exactly. The sound quality.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Nice. Would you mind explaining how the format and design philosophy is maintained throughout the product range? Because it seems to be quite uniform throughout many of your products.
Yeah, the as I said before, those three parts, as in the solid core, extruded Teflon, and use of air as the main insulator, is what we do. We keep that intact. The other things that we work with would be a cable layout and the mechanical tuning. If you read in our literature lately, we introduce a terminology, the mechanically tuned, or we have a mechanically enhanced product. That means that we understand the mechanical properties, so we can implement that into our core technologies, the solid core and the extruded Teflon. Then, of course, this is a matter of what we do in different situations here. The combination speaker and amplifier is requiring a very different approach compared to a digital interconnect, say, versus an analog interconnect versus a power cord. So you will see the core technology in every product, but you will also see that our products look very different depending on the application. So it is using the same concept or the same basics, and then implementing that into what is needed for that application.
So as you go up in the range and you spend more money to get better sound, what are the differences in the construction that you're actually buying as you go up the range?
I could compress that or condense that to a part where I could say that the more you invest in Nordost, the less you hear from us. But
nice.
That's a bit of our philosophy. We want to be taken out, or what the cable contributes with should be taken out of the picture. And some of the approaches to reach this contains tolerances, improving tolerances. Even such a thing as an easy thing to cut a length of a cable, you can do that very precise, or you can do it less precise. The more precise you do that, the more expensive it's going to be, because you need to take time. It's the measurement and so on, the quality control. And that was just cutting a length of a cable. If we take that further and look into the cable geometry, the way the cables are laid out, how they interact, how the conductors interact with each other, that needs to be taken into consideration, and it needs to be understood, and we need to be very, very precise with how we do that. And that would be a very big portion of what is being seen in the price tag. The tolerances, the very, very precise manufacturing that we are capable of doing. And that means that a meter of a Nordost cable is produced much, much slower than a meter of anything regular or generic that is coming out of from somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No worries. And it sounds so good as well.
Thank you.
What else would you say makes Nordost unique?
Well, unique in the cable industry in that respect, as I said before, our driving force would be to take ourselves out of the picture, to a degree. Of course, we want to maintain signal integrity. I guess that would be a key sentence. How to transport an electrical signal from A to B without affecting its origin. That is something that we constantly work with. And we don't believe in filters. So you will never see a Nordost product with boxes or external filtering devices. We believe that when it comes to speakers, the speaker manufacturers are the guy to produce a crossover or a filtering tech. Same thing with electronics manufacturers. They all do and they must have filtering technologies within their power supplies. That's why if you look at our power products, they don't contain filters, because filters they do take away. That's what they do. And by taking away noise, you also reduce dynamics. That is our findings. We find it really hard to pursue our core value with the filter.
I tend to agree with you there.
Yeah, thank you.
What advice would you give to somebody who perhaps bought their first hi-fi system? Until now, they haven't really thought about their cables. So where do they go? What's their first move?
When it comes to cables, the first thing would be to think about power. Most people tend to overlook that and not pay enough attention to the power scenario. A power cable can cause so much more than you would expect to begin with. And added to that, I would say that you should trust your hearings, because coming from the cable industry, we are often being accused of snake oil, voodoo, black magic, and so on and so forth. And really, trust your ears, try it out, and if it doesn't make a difference, we don't have mandatory buying. So if you don't like a product, worst case scenario is that you have to return it. But if you haven't tried it, or if you excluded something like a power cord from your train of thoughts, you have done yourself a disservice. That is, I can guarantee that you are going to be very happy with a couple of really good power cords.
In my experience, that's very true. Yeah. So after the power cord, where would you go next?
Then I would probably, in my experience, because theoretically you would follow the train of the source, but my personal experience is that the speaker is what is changing the electricity and putting air into motion. That's where you hear things. That's how you interact. Your body interacts with all the fine equipment electronics. So the speaker cable really is something that you should take care of too, in that, because that is the window to how your body perceives the music, the sound quality. And if that is not taken care of, it's going to be hard for you to understand.
Sure.
Yeah.
After that, I imagine interconnects and things, components.
Yeah, absolutely. And interconnects are dealing with always they're dealing with a much lower voltage, lower current. So it also makes sense, I think, in a logical positioning here to get the both ends. If I get the power correctly, I get the electronics to work optimally.
Yeah,
optimally, yeah, and you get the speaker to do the same thing, which is allowing you to understand all the bits and pieces in between better than if you start in the middle and work your way outwards.
Good advice, thank you. So obviously, Nordost does a lot more than just cables. Would you like to talk about a few of the other programs that you have in various departments?
Yeah, we do. We have for quite some time as a natural addition to the power cords. We do have our QRT range of, you say power boards here, distribution blocks. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and where we can actually, I was mentioning before, it's a good idea to get rid of noise before it happens, because then you don't have to get rid of it because it hasn't happened. So with our distribution blocks, we have passive ways of preventing noise from happening, which means that we don't have to filter it away in the other end, and we have a much better, quieter, noiseless presentation, but without the lack of dynamics. So we have put a lot of effort into that part of our portfolio. Lately, our latest product in a different domain would be our QNET, an audiophile switch. And I like to put the emphasis on audiophile because it is an audiophile switch made by audiophiles for audiophiles. It really has nothing to do with what you typically see in the computer industry, the biggest data stream is the best bidder kind of thing. And so we're looking into what makes a good audiophile switch. And again, noise is the enemy. We have been able to reduce so much noise and prevent the buildup of noise or the noise to being introduced into the signal from the outside, and also from having noise from the inside the switch to get into the signal. So it's a quite advanced product using non-off-the-shelf solutions. As you would see in a normal audiophile switch, you would see connectors side by side. And if you open that up, you would see pretty much an off-the-shelf solution. Our switch is round. It has a form factor that is round, and it's round for a reason. We can keep a very large distance between the connectors without putting them side by side and create a very long product. But we fit in 5 ports in a very nice form factor there. Everything is made in-house. We have our own pick-and-place machine. So the complete construction is a Nordost construction. There is nothing off the shelf in that. We even have gone to the extent of using linear power supplies for the DC domain for the internal voltages. So we got 6 internal linear power supplies, meaning that because this is put in a 1 billet aluminium box or enclosure. So we protect we protect it from external interference, but also anything that is happening inside and that is being noisy will be kept inside. So therefore we have taken extraordinary measures to make sure that the internal is noise-free, no addition or no interruptions to treating the signal there. So I personally think that's a very, very interesting experience to have in your streaming system. For the first time, I am using Qobuz the way it's intended to. I actually just sit back, choose my music, and listen to it. Before that, I was kind of going into, yeah, that's a good music. Now I need to download the high-res version and work with it from there. But a good switch is key element.
Indeed, sure is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for explaining that. Yeah, it's very nice.
Oh, thanks.
So, is there a specific tweak or an upgrade that you think gives the biggest return that we can suggest to our viewers when it comes to perhaps an accessory or a cable?
Yeah. Well, the best. I would say go online to nordost.com and you go to our download section and you find a piece of work that is called the foundation theory. We're going through in depth and giving you practical tips of how to work with your system, how to put it correctly on a rack, level the rack, position speakers, make sure that you got good power cords, do not stretch the wires, so on and so forth. That material is improving the performance on any system, and it is a lot of things there that are often overlooked because you just basically didn't care, and or no, that's not fair. You didn't know that these things make such a difference when it's being executed correctly. So that would be my thing there. Download that piece of paper, and it'll give you all information of how to set it up to begin with, and then you can expand.
Thanks, Bjorn, because it doesn't matter what brands you use, we can all benefit from those pieces of advice.
Absolutely. That is totally universal. And I would say that it covers every audiophile brand or audio gear in the market there. These are fundamental things that you should do to your system in order to make it sound the best or as good as it can, given the circumstances.
Can all give it a tune-up.
Exactly.
Give your system a tune-up.
Yeah.
Excellent. We're asking our guests to put forward just one question to ask other audio equipment manufacturers in our interviews.
Yeah.
So without knowing who the next brand or guest is going to be, what would be one question that you'd like to ask our next guest?
What's the best demo material you have and why?
Great question.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, as you probably mentioned already, if our viewers want some more information about Nordost, where would they go?
Yeah, nordost.com. Simple as that.
Thank you. Bjorn, thank you very much. And we really appreciate your time here at the show.
Thank you very much, Mark. My pleasure.
Thank you.